All right, automotive pros, think about this for a second. When you're trying to bring like new tech and new processes to your dealership,
Yeah.
especially something like AI, right? Something that can really change things up. Are you finding that there's some pushback? Are you running into some headwinds, getting your team totally on board with it?
I mean, it's a big challenge right now. In the car business, we see dealerships all jazzed about what AI can do,
Yeah.
but then they hit a wall when it comes to actually making it work,
Yeah.
weaving it into how they already do things and getting
Mhm.
everyone pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, totally. And that is exactly what we're going to break down today, the whole how-to of managing change, especially when you're bringing in something new like AI into your dealership.
Right.
This is huge if you're going to modernize your business. I mean, you got to nail this part.
Totally. And it's not like we're venturing into uncharted territory here. The auto industry has gone through some pretty major shakeups before.
Yeah.
And taking a look back at those moments, I mean, it can give us some real gold nuggets on how to manage those big changes in a way that really works.
That's so true, which brings us to what we're really focusing on here, the 30-day AI protocol transformation.
Right.
Think of it as this structured system, like a roadmap for dealerships to seriously implement AI across the board, across their whole operation to get the max impact. And today we're zeroing in on a really core piece of that puzzle.
Yeah.
How do you lead your team through all this? How do you handle those concerns and make sure AI gets adopted smoothly and successfully by everyone?
Absolutely. The goal here is to give you, the folks running the dealerships, the teams, the tools they need to guide their people through this AI transformation.
Right.
We're pulling inspiration from those big game-changing moments in the car business history. We want to make sure you can make AI a real difference maker for you.
Awesome. Let's jump into this. And I think a great place to start is by looking at this pivotal moment in automotive history, the launch of Saturn. Saturn, right? For a lot of us, that brings back some memories.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Saturn was more than just another car in the market.
Yeah.
It was like they came in and just flipped the script on how dealerships were supposed to work.
They threw out the whole playbook, right?
Big time.
Gone was the back and forth, the haggling over price.
Yep.
Their whole thing was laser focus on the
It's
customer.
customer centricity.
Yeah, and forget about the slick, fast-talking salesperson. Instead, you had consultants in this more chill environment. It was like a total 180 from what everyone was used to.
You can bet that kind of shakeup didn't go over so well with everyone who had been in the car game for a while.
Yeah.
Especially those seasoned sales veterans.
I was going to say, what kind of reaction did that get? I mean, talk about a paradigm shift, especially for those salespeople that had been doing it the same way for so long. Exactly. I think a lot of them had built their whole careers, on that art of negotiation.
Yeah.
They honestly believed that customers wanted they expected that back and forth, that it was just part of the whole car buying ritual.
Right. It was like the dance.
Yeah. So this idea of just transparent pricing, no haggling, it felt to them like going against the grain.
Yeah.
Like it was going to backfire and mess up their sales.
Right. Going against everything they knew.
Exactly. And I think that's something we see all the time, right? People like what they're comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
Even if a new approach is better, even if it has clear advantages, there's that, that emotional pull to stick with what you've always done.
It's human nature.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting to me. Saturn stuck to their guns. They had this rock solid vision for this new customer first experience.
Yeah.
And they were 100% committed.
Absolutely.
They basically drew a line in the sand and said, hey, this is how we do business now. Take it or leave it.
That conviction from the top is so important. Whenever you're making a big change, it shows everyone that this isn't just some, fly by night idea.
Right.
They believe in this new direction and they're serious about it.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, you can't argue with the results. Saturn built up this super loyal customer base because they made buying a car transparent and actually enjoyable. And think about the long-term impact. I mean, transparent pricing, a less aggressive sales approach, really building that customer relationship. These are all things that Saturn pushed for that are pretty much standard now.
It's amazing to see how one company with a bold vision and the guts to stick to it can literally change an entire industry.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the Saturn brand itself might be gone.
Right.
But it's not because their retail model was a flop.
Yeah.
Their influence on how cars are sold today, it's huge.
It's undeniable. So let's fast forward to today. If you're at a dealership, whether you're on the management team or the marketing team, you're probably thinking about this whole AI thing as part of that 30-day AI protocol transformation. So what are the big lessons from the Saturn story that you can apply to what you're doing right now?
Well, the parallels are pretty clear. Just like Saturn completely changed how people thought about buying a car.
Yeah.
AI has the power to totally transform how your dealership operates.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking everything from making those internal processes smoother to giving your customers this hyper-personalized experience that's also super efficient. And guess what all that leads to?
More money.
More profits, exactly.
Well, so looking at Saturn's journey, what are the takeaways, the actionable things you can do if you're implementing AI as part of your transformation?
Yeah.
I'm seeing 3 big ones.
I agree totally. And the first one, and this is like the cornerstone of that 30-day AI protocol, is you got to have a crystal clear vision for how you're bringing AI in.
Yeah.
Just like Saturn wasn't just about, selling cars, it was about creating a new way to buy them.
Totally.
Your AI strategy has got to spell out the why, the specific ways it's going to make things better, like more efficiency in the service department, more targeted marketing campaigns, digging deeper into what your customers really want, and then how all that good stuff is going to have a positive impact on the whole dealership and every single person on the team.
Right. That's so important. And that vision leads us right into lesson number 2, unwavering commitment.
Oh, yeah.
Saturn didn't tiptoe around with no haggle pricing.
Yeah.
They went all in. It was their core principle.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing with a successful AI rollout.
Yep.
You got to be all in half measures and, not having that clear direction that's just going to lead to confusion and people dragging their feet.
When the people at the top are totally committed, it sends a clear message to the team.
Right.
This isn't some trendy thing that's going to disappear next week.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental change in how we're doing business from now on.
Yeah. And that's a core message of the 30-day AI protocol.
Absolutely.
And the third big lesson from Saturn, it's all about the people.
Mm-hmm.
Not every salesperson back then was ready for Saturn's way of doing things.
Right.
And in the same way with the 30-day AI protocol, you've got to figure out who on your team is actually open to using AI and excited about it.
Right. You want to find the people who are ready to jump in and use AI to make their jobs even better.
Right. Recognizing those early adopters is like finding treasure. They're going to be your champions and help everyone else get on board.
That's a really key part of how the 30-day AI protocol helps manage change.
So practically speaking, how do you build that non-negotiable AI future? Taking a page from Saturn's book with their no haggle pricing.
Well, that's where the 30-day AI protocol comes in with some real concrete guidance.
Okay.
Just like Saturn was super clear about no negotiation, you've got to decide on those core AI-powered processes that are going to be the foundation of how your dealership works.
Okay.
These aren't just optional tools. This is the new normal for being efficient and connecting with customers on a whole other level.
I love that. And we have a great example of a dealer who did exactly that, during their AI transformation.
Yeah.
They didn't just say, oh, yeah, we're using AI. It was like, no AI-enhanced customer communication. That's the baseline now.
Right. It was like a given.
It wasn't even a question of if they were going to use AI with customers. It was how to use it in the best way possible.
And make it work for you.
And that's right at the heart of the 30-day AI protocol.
Absolutely.
They weren't messing around.
No.
And by making some of those AI applications non-negotiable, it's like you immediately switch everyone's focus.
Exactly.
It's not about arguing over whether AI is even worth it.
Yeah.
It's about, okay, how do we use this stuff to get better results?
Right. Let's dive in and make it work.
And that is exactly what the 30-day AI protocol is all about, that implementation phase.
It's about action.
Yeah, so this dealer, following those principles of the 30-day AI protocol, they laid out some specific things they expected.
Yeah.
So every interaction with a customer, every single one had to be informed by AI insights so you could really personalize it.
Yeah.
And follow-up communication, forget about generic messages.
Right.
You had to use AI to make sure those follow-ups were relevant.
Yeah.
So you're really building that customer experience. It's a key element of the AI protocol.
Absolutely.
And here's the big one. Everyone on the team had to actively use AI tools to get better at their jobs.
Right. It was about individual improvement and also making the whole team stronger.
Yeah, and that's what they did. They made AI part of every department's everyday work.
Yeah.
That's a sign that you're doing the 30-day AI protocol, right? AI isn't just stuck in one corner. It's part of the whole customer journey.
It's woven in.
And just like Saturn's pricing policy, those AI-driven standards, they weren't optional.
Not at all.
That was the new way of doing business at that dealership.
Yeah.
Totally in line with the big goals of the 30-day AI protocol.
They were serious.
And the results were huge. When Everyone knows that AI is here to stay.
Right.
They can adapt and start learning the skills they need.
Right. They're not fighting it anymore.
And all that resistance starts to melt away.
That's the goal.
Which brings us to how you spot those transformation-ready team members, as you're rolling out your 30-day AI protocol.
Yeah.
And we touched on this before. It's not just about looking at, who's been hitting their sales numbers or who's been there the longest.
It's about finding the people who are ready to learn and grow and roll with the punches.
Exactly. This dealer, they were really smart about it as part of their 30-day AI protocol rollout. They specifically looked for 3 things in their team members.
Okay.
The first one was curiosity. Do you have people who are just naturally drawn to those new features in your CRM?
Yeah.
Or they're asking questions about AI? Like, they genuinely want to understand how it works and how it can help them do their jobs better.
They're not afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, that's a great sign that someone's ready to learn and dive into these new technologies.
Totally.
That's what the 30-day AI protocol is all about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so curiosity, that was number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, they looked for people who were willing to experiment,
Okay.
who's trying new things, even if it takes a little while to figure it out.
Yeah, they're not afraid to try and fail a few times.
Right.
They know that's part of the process.
Exactly. And that's so important if you want to get the most out of AI.
Right.
Because it is a learning curve for a lot of folks.
Yeah, you got to be willing to play around with it.
And the third thing they looked for was people who like to share.
Yep.
Who's excited to tell their coworkers about the cool things they're doing with AI and share what they're learning. Creating that team spirit of learning together.
Yeah, build that community.
And that's something the 30-day AI protocol is really big on.
It makes a huge difference.
And what this dealer figured out, and this is totally in line with what the 30-day AI protocol teaches, is that those 3 qualities, curiosity, experimentation, and sharing,
Yeah.
they're much better indicators of whether someone's going to rock AI than just looking at how long they've been at the dealership or how many cars they've sold.
It's about mindset.
Yeah.
It's about being ready to adapt and embrace something new.
And that's a key part of the 30-day AI protocol.
Absolutely.
So they took those early adopters, their champions, and they formed this AI innovation team.
Yeah, a team of all-stars.
Yeah, and here's the cool part. It wasn't just managers on this team. It was people from all different roles at the dealership.
That's right.
Salespeople, service advisors, marketing folks, anyone who was really gung-ho about AI.
And when you have people from different parts of the dealership working together,
Yeah.
you get a much better understanding of how AI can be used across the board, in all those different departments.
It makes it more well-rounded, right?
Exactly.
And that's what the 30-day AI protocol is all about, making sure AI touches every part of the customer's experience.
Yep.
And the result was this organic spread of excitement.
Oh, that's
As those early adopters, those champions started influencing their coworkers.
right.
People saw their successes and it just naturally caught on.
There's nothing more powerful than seeing your own colleagues succeeding with something.
Right.
It makes you want to try it too.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Those initial doubts started to disappear because people saw real results, things that their coworkers were doing.
It wasn't some theory anymore.
Right. It was right there in front of them.
It was
That's the beauty of the 30-day AI protocols approach. It's all about learning by doing.
Yeah, and seeing is believing.
And it wasn't like this top-down thing, where management was forcing it.
No.
It was coming from the team themselves.
Organically.
They were embracing it because they saw it working.
Yeah, and that's the best case scenario.
So going back to Saturn, how they really supported their consultants, those trailblazers.
Yeah.
The 30-day AI protocol is big on creating this really strong support system.
An AI champions program.
Yeah, for those early adopters.
Give them what they need to succeed.
So this means giving those champions priority access to all the new AI tools.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Absolutely.
But it also means giving them time to play around with it, experiment without feeling like they're going to get in trouble if they make a mistake.
Right, a safe space to learn.
Yeah, and giving them a platform to share their insights with everyone else.
Yeah.
Those are all key parts of the 30-day AI protocol.
It's about making it easy for them to share what they know.
Yeah, and that changes the whole focus.
Right.
It's not just about, okay, we installed the tech now.
Yeah.
It's about actively creating X-Greats within your dealership and getting people genuinely excited about AI.
Build that excitement.
That's what the 30-day AI protocol is all about.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing how that can change things. Instead of management trying to convince someone that AI is a good thing, it's one of their coworkers, a champion.
Up here.
Yeah, saying, hey, look, this is how AI is helping me.
Right.
That's so much more powerful.
So much more convincing.
And that's something the 30-day AI protocol really emphasizes.
Absolutely.
So if someone's worried about, AI taking their job,
yeah.
a champion can be like, hey, no, I'm actually closing more deals because of AI and I'm less stressed.
Making my life easier.
Yeah. Those real life examples are gold.
They are.
And as those champions get more experience, the ones that are really nurtured by the 30-day AI protocol, they start to become even more innovative. They're finding new ways to use AI that nobody even thought of before.
They're pushing the boundaries.
Yeah. And they become mentors without even realizing it.
Right.
Sharing what they know in everyday conversations.
Yeah.
It's not like formal training. It's just, hey, I found this cool new thing.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of how the 30-day AI protocol creates that collaborative learning environment.
It's about sharing and learning from each other.
It's like you're building this network of AI ambassadors throughout your dealership.
Spreading the word.
And one dealership, they got really creative with this. They structured their AI engagement into 3 different levels.
Oh, wow.
So they had the pioneer level, which was those first champion.
Yeah, the trailblazers.
The ones who were all in, they got extra time to learn and experiment.
Yeah.
And they were celebrated for their wins.
Right.
And they got to help their colleagues, which is so important.
Yeah, the peer support is crucial.
It's like having someone right there who can answer your questions and help you work through any problems.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's a much more relaxed way to learn.
Yeah. And then they had the partner level.
Okay.
These were the folks who were interested, but maybe a little more cautious.
Right.
And they got paired up with a pioneer for those one-on-one sessions.
Like a mentor?
Exactly. A mentorship program that's straight out of the 30-day AI protocol.
It's a really effective way to help people who are maybe a little hesitant.
Right. And then they had the potential level.
Okay.
The folks who are the most resistant.
Right.
And instead of, forcing it on them, they just make sure they were always hearing about the success stories.
Yeah, let them see how it's working for others.
All those real-world benefits of AI that the 30-day AI protocol talks about.
Exactly.
And what's really cool is how those 3 groups interact.
Yeah.
It's all natural. The pioneers, they inspire the partners.
Yeah.
And then the partners, they show the potential folks what they're doing.
Right.
And that creates this momentum.
A wave.
Where everyone can move at their own speed.
Yeah.
But they all get it. AI, this is the future of the dealership.
This is where we're going.
Yeah, and it's not just coming from the top down anymore.
Yeah.
It's this collaborative thing.
Team effort.
It's like the whole culture shifts.
And that's a big goal of the 30-day AI protocol.
Totally. And to keep that transformation going,
the
30-day AI protocol is big on structured freedom.
Okay.
Having those clear standards for AI.
Yeah.
But also being flexible.
So there's some wiggle room.
Yeah, in how people actually achieve those standards.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. So this dealer, they were very clear about the things that were non-negotiable.
Oh,
You had to use AI insights for every customer interaction.
Yeah.
You had to personalize those follow-ups with AI.
Yeah.
And every team member had to use AI tools to get better at their job.
Those were the ground rules.
Yeah, those were the new rules of the game.
The new normal.
And that's what their AI protocol was all about.
Right.
But they didn't say, okay, you have to do it this way and only this way.
Right. They left room for people to use their strengths.
Yeah, play to your strength.
So some people might be amazing at using AI for, comparing different vehicles. Yeah. Others might be great at crafting those personalized email campaigns.
Right.
And others might use AI to make their sales presentations even better.
It's about finding what works best for you.
And that's what the 30-day AI protocol encourages, giving people that flexibility.
Yeah.
So they're not just checking boxes.
Right.
They're actually exceeding expectations and finding new ways to use AI that nobody even thought of before.
It's about empowering them to own the process.
Yeah.
And find those methods that really work for them and their customers.
Totally.
And that's a big part of the 30-day AI protocol.
And that's when the AI transformation really takes off.
Yeah.
It becomes this self-sustaining thing.
Right.
It's not just management pushing it anymore.
No.
The whole team.
They're driving it forward.
It's like setting the rules of a game.
Yeah. The boundaries are clear, but within those boundaries, you're free to be creative.
And excel.
And to solidify that balance, the 30-day AI protocol has this thing called a success framework.
Okay. A roadmap to success.
Yeah. And this framework, it lays out those non-negotiable AI standards.
Yeah.
But it also focuses on helping individuals grow and develop their expertise
So it's not just about the team, it's about each individual.
Right. So this framework within the 30-day AI protocol, it included things like, keeping a record of all your client interactions.
Yeah.
So AI can learn from that data.
Right. Feed the AI.
You had to show that you knew how to use the core AI tools within those first 30 days.
Yeah.
And you had to use AI insights to personalize your communication with customers.
Those were the basics.
Yeah, those were the must-dos.
The foundation.
But within that framework, people were encouraged to really master the specific AI applications that they were good at or that they were interested in.
So you can focus on your strengths.
Yeah, so if a sales consultant was awesome at using AI to compare vehicles, they could specialize in that.
Right.
And someone else might be all about using AI to make their lead nurturing even better.
Find your niche.
Yeah. And those standards, they weren't seen as limitations anymore.
Right.
They became this launching pad for innovation and growth.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what the 30-day AI protocol is designed to do.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Every standard became this opportunity to do something new.
To grow.
And that's what we want to leave you with today. If you're thinking about the 30-day AI protocol, it's not about forcing everyone to love AI.
Yeah.
It's about setting those clear standards.
The non-negotiables.
Yeah, this is how we're doing things from now on.
This is the future.
And then giving the people who are ready for that future.
It's champions.
Yeah, giving them the support and the tools they need to shine.
Really become those leaders.
Yeah. So just to sum it all up for our dealership folks out there.
Yeah.
Managing resistance to AI, it all boils down to a few things.
Yeah.
Having that clear vision for what AI can do for your dealership.
Right.
Showing that you as leaders are 100% committed.
Absolutely.
Giving power to those team members who are ready to embrace change.
The transformation ready folks.
Yeah. And finding that sweet spot between setting those firm AI standards, but also giving your team the freedom to make it work for them.
Using their strength.
Yeah. Remember Saturn?
Yeah.
They didn't succeed by trying to convince every single salesperson to change their ways.
No.
It was about having that clear vision and building a team that was on board with it.
Totally.
And all those lessons, they apply directly to what you're facing right now.
Yeah.
As you're going through this 30-day AI protocol transformation.
Absolutely.
Start by finding those people who are curious about AI.
Yeah.
Who are excited about it.
The ones with the spark.
Yeah. And figure out which AI implementations are absolutely essential.
The non-negotiables.
Yeah. The ones that are going to make or break your success.
Right. Lay the foundation.
Yeah. So as you keep going on this AI journey with the 30-day AI protocol, take a moment and really ask yourself, what are those AI-driven principles that are non-negotiable?
Yeah.
The ones that are going to determine whether your dealership succeeds or fails.
The guiding principles.
And how are you going to empower your team, those pioneers, those champions, to take ownership of that vision and run with it?
To make it their own.
That's what it's all about. That's your deep dive into managing change in the age of AI for today.
Awesome stuff.